Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
You found your person. Now let the Knot help you with everything else. The Knot connects you to the wedding inspo, vendors, venues, and planning tools you need to make your day totally you. Having helped plan 25 million weddings, we've got your back when it comes to every little detail like RSVPs, budgets, and more. Because your wedding comes to life with the connections that matter the most. Get started at theknot.com/audio. The Knot. Let's plan your wedding together.
This is Optimal Living Daily, How I Became Weird by Tynan of Tynan.com. And I'm Justin Malik, here to help you find a little bit of extra inspiration, motivation, or happiness in your day. And you can hit the subscribe or follow button in your favorite podcast app to get new episodes every single day of the year. But for now, let's get right to another post and continue optimizing your life. How I Became Weird by Tynan of Tynan.com. When I was 10, I went to a Christian summer camp called Camp Calumet. We stayed in cabins with our counselors and a dozen other kids. By stroke of luck, my best friend Ryan and I ended up in the cabin with the cool counselors. I don't remember either of their names or even what they looked like, but I remember that one of them had a sticker on his guitar case that spelled the letters Y, then B, followed by normal. Why be normal? It was a cheesy sticker, of course, but as an impressionable kid, it made me think. My counselor was probably the coolest guy I knew at the time, so I instantly equated being not normal with being cool. So I decided to get my hair braided. This wasn't necessarily the most original thing to do. Crisscross was popular at the time, and at least one of its members had his hair braided. I was a huge fan. But amongst the kids at the camp, this was a very weird thing to do. During our free time, we all hung out at a set of boat docks sitting in the middle of the woods. They were there for storage, but were arranged in a square, which made them a very convenient place to sit around and chat. Does anyone have elastics for their braces? A few of the girls did, and one of them offered me a few packs of fluorescent ones. I don't have to tell you how cool fluorescent things were back in those days. Does anyone know how to braid? Before I knew it, I was sitting like the king of the docks with 3 girls crouched around me, braiding my hair. Took them 4 hours. The braids were an instant hit. Everyone loved them. A friend of a friend pulled me aside and said very solemnly, "You were really cool. Would you mind if I got my hair braided too?" 2 of the girls who braided my hair asked me out. I happily acquiesced to one, who is the girl I would consider my first girlfriend, although we never did so much as kiss. Now she's on the Vermont House of Representatives. And so my first experience being weird wasn't met with the ridicule most people experience. Instead, thanks to blind luck, I became the most popular kid at camp and was launched forward in life with the understanding that doing unusual things would make my life better. 16 and a half years later, I'm sitting on a train somewhere in Japan. It's dead silent other than the clicks from my keyboard. We're stopped at a station for some reason I might comprehend if my Japanese was better. Maybe we're ahead of schedule. The few other passengers on the train are sleeping. I've turned the seats in front of us around to use as a footrest so that I can be comfortable while I write a story about my life that random people all around the world will later read. 9 hours and 5 transfers later, my friend Todd and I will be in a small town called Bondo in the Japanese prefecture of Shikoku. We'll arrive at the first of 88 temples in a historic 993-mile pilgrimage around Shikoku. I have no idea how far away the second one is, but we're going to walk to it. If it's close, we'll walk to the second one too. When it's nighttime, we'll sleep on the ground next to the trail. Few people do that anymore, apparently, but it's the traditional way to make the pilgrimage. Once in a while, especially at times like these, I think about how incredibly fortunate I am to have this life. While most people are at work, I get to be in the middle of nowhere in Japan having a great adventure. Some of it is luck. I've had the unmistakable good fortune of having an amazing family and group of friends. I was born, and with good health, and a high enough IQ. Besides luck, though, a lot of what has led me here is my near total lack of faith that most people are doing the best thing. When I see other people doing something, I ask why, rather than assume that it's the best way to do things. As a result, almost everything in my life is abnormal. I dress differently, I eat differently, I do different things for fun and for work, and I don't even live anywhere anymore. At the risk of sounding like an Apple ad, I think differently. There are massive benefits to living differently. It makes you think about things rather than going through life like a sheep. You feel proud about your life because it's something you have built rather than something that you were shoehorned into. You can't help but be constantly happy because you're doing what you want to be doing, not what you're told you want to be doing. People sometimes tell me that they'd like to break free of the mold a little more, but are scared or have some weird excuse why it wouldn't work for them. To me, it's the opposite. The prospect of living a normal life is the most terrifying thing in the world to me. It's a paradox because I feel like I can do anything, but I honestly don't think I could live a normal life. I can't even imagine what I would do if I was faced with the challenge. At the same time, there are some downsides to being unusual. The main one is that the world isn't built for you. In Tokyo, the largest metropolitan area in the world, there are no restaurants where I can eat everything on the menu. The huge entertainment districts of every city have nothing that interests me. I'm not complaining. I just mention it because I think it's interesting. Why be normal? I have no idea. I guess because it's easy and convenient. The world is an amazing place, though. It's spectacular. As I see more of it, I've covered 0.01% of it so far, learn about it and think more about it, I become happier and happier and more honored to be a part of it. But here's the thing, 99% of the world and the experiences available in it are off the beaten path. To get to them, you have to get off the path too. You just listened to the post titled, How I Became Weird by Tynan of Tynan.com, and I'll be right back with my commentary.
You already know finance isn't just numbers, it's the stories they tell. That's where the average Joe comes in. This free daily newsletter turns market news and investment strategies into quick, entertaining reads that make you smarter in minutes. Cut through the noise and get actionable insights to grow your portfolio and sharpen your financial edge. No jargon, no fluff, just what you need to know. Join thousands of savvy readers today. Subscribe free at readthejoe.com/subscribe-swap. That's readthejoe.com/subscribe-swap. Level up your financial game with the average Joe and subscribe today.
Thank you to Tynan. For me personally, in my own life, I believe that thinking differently, or to use the cliche, outside the box, that's been one of the most powerful tools that's had a positive impact on my life. Many of the turning points or wins have come from not being normal. Really small things like winning a coloring contest as a child because I added headphones and a Walkman to the Easter Bunny, to what I do today. The creation of this podcast itself was quite outside the norm when starting a podcast was not very common back in 2015, and have it being a podcast where I read to people, that was completely unheard of. And those are just two examples. Again, many of the pivotal life moments, if not all of them, had something to do with this idea of going off the beaten path. So I'd encourage you to try to think differently today, and simply asking why is a great place to start. So ask those questions and walk your own path. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll be back tomorrow as usual, where your optimal life awaits.